Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're here with part 4 of our F1 22 driver career mode here, racing for Williams. As I said, this is part 4. Last time out in Imola we got our first points of the season, a good haul for us as well, with a sprint race as well, first sprint race of the season. You can see in the driver standings we're currently sitting 9th on equal points with Valtteri Bottas in 10th, and in terms of the constructors we're 7th as well, which is great for Williams. You can see, looking at our results so far, it was a P6 in Imola, which got us all of our points so far this season, a P12 in Bahrain, and unfortunately a DNF at our home Grand Prix. You can see, heading into this round in Miami, we actually move ahead of Aston Martin in the performance chart, so that'll hopefully help us in our charge further up the grid, and hopefully get us some more point scoring finishes over the course of the season while we continue to progress. Now here we go, heading into qualifying, and it is a wet one for our first round of the Miami Grand Prix in our driver career here. And last time it was raining was the Australian Grand Prix, when we crashed out only a couple laps into the race, so hopefully we can have a better time here in Miami. We're going to cross the line to finish our first time lap of Q1, and it hits us P13, slowest of anyone to set a lap so far, but because it is wet, we're going to go straight to a second consecutive lap, and you can see it's much better this time, puts us P10, and we actually had a purple middle sector as well, and when we come to finish the lap we actually keep that purple middle sector. You can see we're in P10 out, sector 2 there, still purple, so some good pace here in the wet around Miami. It's a track that I do enjoy on the F1 game here, so yeah, hopefully we can use that and translate it into a good result come the end of the weekend. You can see the end of Q1, it did dry up though and allow everyone to go onto the soft, so we have to set another lap time, and luckily we do get quite comfortably through to Q2 there. You can see our teammate Alex Albon also makes it through to Q2, so I believe that's the first time this season that both Williams cars have made it, so those upgrades coming in very handy for Williams here as we come now to the end of our first time lap in Q2. You can see not having a great run through the hairpin there at the end of the lap, going a bit wide, but we're going to continue on either way to finish the lap, our one and only lap here in this first run, and it hits us P10, so again not bad. We certainly seem to be on the very edge of the top 10 here in qualifying. You can see Albon down in 14th, so very similar to Q1 as well. You can see we go out for another lap to see if we can get into Q3, because we're in 11th now. Unfortunately though, we're about half a second down, just wasn't able to string a lap together, and so it's no improvement. It's going to be P11 here in qualifying for Miami. Not a bad result whatsoever. I even actually turned the AI up heading into this round, so yeah, very good to see the pace of the Williams here, just 4 rounds into the season, only 4/10 up on Albon as well, so nice and close with our teammate, and we are in a good position to possibly score some points heading into the race. But yeah, without further ado, let's head into the Miami Grand Prix.
We're here in the coastal shores of Florida for the Miami Grand Prix, which has become the 11th Formula One track held in the United States. The grandstands are packed for what we hope is going to be another fantastic race. Sitting at the southeastern coast of Florida, the Miami International Autodrome has 19 corners and 3.36 miles of racing. It's a circuit designed to encourage close racing while meeting the highest safety standards. Either way, I'm sure it's one that will please the fans. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Perez, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Norris, Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, Ocon, and Benjamin, Mick Schumacher, Joe, George Russell, and Albon, Bottas, Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, and Kevin Magnussen. Vettel and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Right, so here we are on the grid for the Miami Grand Prix, lining up in P10 after George Russell had an engine penalty after qualifying, so he's moved just a little bit down the grid behind us there, and that gives us the inside line heading into turn 1, which could prove to be very beneficial if we get a good start, which obviously is very hard to do. I've been struggling to do that so far this season, so hopefully we can get a good one finally and maybe make a couple moves heading into turn 1, and obviously trying to make sure that we don't get any damage around here with the walls being so close, and yeah, it's going to get bunched up quite a bit, but make sure our tyres are warm here on the formation lap. Going to try and get as close as possible to the starting spot, and we do get an optimal position without getting reset, very importantly there, because those crucial couple meters can be the difference between getting a position or not. Here we go, lining up on the grid, engines revving, we go to 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Miami Grand Prix. We held very long there under the red lights, and it's not the best launch, but overall we don't lose any positions heading into turn 1, and you can see we're able to go to the inside of Ocon as we head through this tight, twisty first section of track here. We're going to keep it alongside the Alpine, but he's just got that traction around the outside to move back up ahead, and so we stay in P10 for now. But as we now head into the very fast left hand, you can see Schumacher taking the opportunity to send it up the inside there, but we do hold position and hold on to P10, and actually Zhou and Schumacher battling away now for those positions behind us, which allows us to get just a little bit of a gap and a little bit of breathing room now as we head down the back straight. But we're not going to be very close to make any moves this particular lap, so we cut to lap 2 now on the back straight, and George Russell obviously going to be hungry to get himself further up the grid and into the points. He looks for a move on Zhou Guanyu here through sector 2. This is still this is a very weird place to be going side by side, the last place you would expect it, but he does get it done before the chicane there, which you would lose a lot of time going side by side through the chicane, I imagine, and he gets himself into P12. Meanwhile, we are behind our fellow Aussie Daniel Ricciardo, heading down towards the final hairpin here. Are we going to be able to go for a move maybe, or are we just going to sit behind? We are quite a bit back. We can see once again going purple in the second sector, and we go for a very last second dive there on our fellow Aussie in the McLaren there, and we get the move done. He tries to keep his nose in, but we just about eke ahead there in the traction zone and get ourselves into P9, so looking good for some points here so far. The pace is alright. You can see going defensive into turn 1 just to make sure he doesn't try and dive bomb us there, and we do hold on to position over Ricciardo, and so that is confirmed P9, at least for now here on lap 3 of the Miami Grand Prix. Can we maybe chase down the Alpines for position? But we're going to go through a little order check here. We've got Verstappen leading the way ahead of Charles Leclerc, looking to get a win here. Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz in 3rd and 4th, obviously. If you remember the standings, Sainz and Perez are currently 1 and 2 in the championship, both equal on 66 points, so very important for those guys to get position over each other. It's Hamilton 5th, Norris 6th, the Alpines in 7th and 8th, ourselves in 9th, and Ricciardo rounding out the top 10 in the McLaren, and he's obviously got George Russell just behind him, who's going to have a lot of speed over us guys in the midfield to lower midfield there, as we can now look up ahead to Lewis Hamilton going for a move on Carlos Sainz. This is exactly what Perez wants. He wants Sainz to be getting held up by anyone, really. As long as he finishes ahead of Sainz, he should continue to lead the championship, as the front guys actually battle away as well. But these guys really going at it. Hamilton not backing out of this move. And you can actually see Hamilton on the medium compound tyre here, whereas Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, all these guys going on the hard compound, so sort of the inverse strategy, and it'll be interesting to see which of these strategies actually plays out better, as Hamilton does get the move done there on Sainz, as we now cut to lap 6, and we are under threat from Ricciardo down the back straight. We just about lost ERS on Alonso up ahead, and so this is going to allow Ricciardo to come right up alongside and completely clear us before we even get into the braking zone. Then we just have to pull back in behind, because I don't want to lose too much time. If I waste too much time battling away with Ricciardo, then there'll be no chance of potentially getting this pack up ahead later on in the race. So just trying to be smart about it. We don't quite have the pace of these guys, but just using the DRS to tow myself along and stay with them is going to be the better play for us, I think, as we have a look now on lap 8. Our teammate Albon getting passed by Sonoda down the back straight there, Yeah, he didn't have any DRS. He was just a bit of a sitting duck now. As we look a lap later onto lap 9, Leclerc going to go for a move on Max Verstappen. These guys, the lead drivers, you would say, in the teams, yet they are not the lead in the championship, as it's more the second drivers leading the way here in this first season. But Leclerc around the outside of the hairpin, very good move there from the Monegasque driver. And he gets the move done, but he's got Verstappen right behind him now as they head on to lap 10 down towards turn 1. Verstappen has the DRS. Leclerc goes defensive. Is Verstappen going to be able to go around the outside of turn 1? No, Leclerc actually goes in a bit deep. Verstappen tried the cut back there, but Leclerc holds on to the position as we cut half a lap later here. Now Max once again looking for a move on the Ferrari. He's going to go to the outside at the end of the straight. There's a bit of contact between them. Is there a bit of damage for Verstappen maybe? I'm not too sure. They're going to keep going side by side, but look how much this is backing up this massive pack of cars. We are on the tail of this pack as well, and we've got George Russell closing in on us as well, so this is almost an 11 car pack here battling away at the front of the field. Absolutely incredible around. Look at that train of cars in the background with us just on the back and Russell almost behind us as we now head down towards the hairpin towards the end of the lap. Verstappen again with the DRS is going to go for a move on Charles. It looks like he got away without any damage there. Very, very lucky there for the Dutch driver there, the reigning world champion from 2021. He goes around the outside of the hairpin, but isn't quite able to get the move done. No, he's going to keep his nose there, but Leclerc just about keeps ahead. But once again, Max will have DRS now on lap 11, heading down towards turn 1. He's got to watch out for his teammate as well. Perez will be hungry to get as many points as he possibly can to extend his championship lead. Max isn't able to get the move done on Leclerc and just has to settle in behind for now. As we now look on lap 12, Russell has caught up to the back of us, but it's an engine failure for the second race in a row there for George Russell, the Brit, having a horrible time in his first season for Mercedes. It's happened in Imola last time out when he was trying to make his way through the field, and it has happened again here in Miami. Perhaps Russell just pushing that Mercedes power unit too hard in the last couple of rounds, trying to make his way through the field, so that might be something that the Mercedes team have to look into. And obviously we'll have Mercedes engines ourselves in the Williams here, so got to be careful to keep that in mind. As at the end of lap 13 here, we come into the pit lane for our one and only stop of the race. We'll be on the hard tyres, and you would assume Ricciardo and Alonso ahead of us here will be doing the same thing as well. You can see Hamilton coming out just behind us. I believe Hamilton actually got held up a little bit, so interesting to see where he comes out in that battle there with the likes of Sainz and Perez, and no issues there for our pit stop. 2.3 seconds, not the fastest, but not the worst either, as we exit pit lane on these very cold tyres. These hard tyres are very difficult to drive on and to keep the car pointing the right direction in this new game with the way that the cold tyres are modelled out of the pit lane. But you can see lap 15 now, out of the pit lane, there's a yellow flag up ahead. What is it? There has possibly been an incident. There was debris to the left, and it is Alonso's safety car deployed. Alonso going very slowly, and he is going to retire from the Grand Prix. What on earth has happened there? It looks like maybe a bit of drama on the pit exit. We're going to go and have a look at a replay here from Alonso's onboard. You can see through turn 1 here, it definitely looks like it's going to be an issue. There's Lando Norris coming out of the pit lane, and Alonso, just drives straight into the Brit there. Just sort of a case of the two lines converging on each other, but really Alonso, I don't know why he kept his foot in. We're going to look from the other Alpine's perspective here, and you can just see, just drive straight into the side of him. He's completely lost his whole front wing. And yeah, Alonso retiring from the race there and causing a safety car. Now, lap 17 here, we're going to go through an order check under safety car. Leclerc leads the way ahead of Verstappen still. So Verstappen's still trying to find a way through on the Monegasque there. Carlos Sainz now sits in third, so this safety car has massively benefited Sainz there because he's now ahead of Perez. Hamilton sits fourth. Perez is now down in fifth. Norris is sixth, ahead of Ocon in seventh. Ricciardo eighth. Ourselves are still in ninth here. And Schumacher sits in P10 in rounding out the points. But yeah, as I was saying, the strategies, the way they're going to play out has been massively influenced by this race, because Tsunoda started on the hard compound tyres and now he's on the mediums and right behind us. So that AlphaTauri going to be very fast, and I believe there's a couple other cars behind us as well that are also on the mediums, so that we're going to have to watch out for. As I was saying, the only real reason we were keeping with that front pack is because we were just about towing along with the DRS. As soon as we lost that, we lost the position to Ricciardo. So now with the safety car, there's going to be no DRS for 2 laps, and we've got some fast charging cars behind us. It's going to be a lot of work to keep this car in the points now for the remainder of this race. 12 laps left to go. Now, under safety car restart, we weren't able to make any moves on Ricciardo, unfortunately. They're just trying to keep it in line, but immediately up ahead, Hamilton having to defend from Sergio Perez, who, as I've said a couple times now, will be hungry to get ahead of Carlos Sainz and score more points, because whoever finishes ahead of those two will be leading the Drivers' Championship heading out of Miami here. They're going to go side by side through Sector 2 here, and he gets himself ahead before the chicane, and now he's on the back of Carlos Sainz there, both those guys on the mediums as well, so no tyre difference between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Now on lap 19, we're going to pull up alongside Ricciardo, who's dropped a bit off of the cars ahead, and we get ourselves completely ahead before the braking zone of the hairpin there, and we didn't even have DRS yet. So now let's see if we can maybe close in on Ocon up ahead, but looking further back, Yuki going to try and make a move here on Mick Schumacher to get himself into the points. They're going to go side by side. Are they going to go side by side through this section? Yes, they are. Yuki on the outside, though. We haven't seen this work out for anyone yet. It's normally the car on the inside of the right-hander, but Yuki keeps his nose in there. They're going to go side by side through the chicane. Schumacher jumps over the sausage curb there, but Yuki gets the better run out of the chicane and gets himself into P10. Very brave move there for the AlphaTauri to get into P10 like that. And he's now going to find himself under attack from Mick Schumacher. So those mediums working for Yuki there, but unfortunately just in a poor position to immediately get no DRS off of the Haas and passed again by the German. But he's going to have to try and make that move again later on in the race. Now lap 21, Carlos Sainz versus Sergio Perez. This is the battle of the race to be keeping our eyes on here. Perez to the inside. Are these guys now going to go side by side through here? It looks like they definitely are. They both know what's at stake. Perez tries to hold it around the outside, but he's not quite able to do it. Doesn't quite have the tyre advantage that Yuki had over Schumacher there. And so he's going to have to sit behind, bide his time on the Ferrari, and potentially make a move down this back straight with some DRS. As you can see, Verstappen and Leclerc have pulled away, so Sainz may be a bit of a sitting duck here down the straight. Here we go. DRS is enabled. DRS is open for Perez. Sainz goes a little bit defensive, goes fully defensive here. Perez is going to have to go around the outside. Sainz not making it easy for the Mexican. Can Perez hold it around the outside of the hairpin? Yes, he can. They're going to go side by side through the last sweeping corners of the lap here, and Perez gets the move done. He's ahead of Carlos Sainz, but now Sainz has the DRS, so Perez defensive into turn 1. Sainz going to go to the outside. Who gets the position here? They're going to continue going side by side, and Sainz gets the better run out of turn 1 and holds onto P3. Meanwhile, our teammate Albon with an engine failure, so that's another Mercedes power unit failing here in Miami, and I've got to say that does not help my confidence at the moment. We are pushing quite hard to keep ahead of Ricciardo and try and close in on Ocon, so to see two Mercedes engines go pop this race, yeah, not very confidence boosting for us whatsoever. Now looking ahead onto lap 22, Norris versus Ocon. Ocon gets the move done quite easily there on Lando, and those are the guys that we are currently chasing down ourselves. Now onto lap 25, Verstappen versus Leclerc. These guys have pulled a massive gap to the cars behind, 7 seconds. Verstappen to the outside of the hairpin, and there's a bit of contact between them again, so there's been a bit of rubbing between these two, and it looks like Verstappen has got damage this time. He's into the pit lane, and that is Verstappen's race effectively over at this point. There's only 4 laps left to go in this Grand Prix, and Leclerc has pretty much sealed the deal on this race. I don't believe he got any damage from that. He didn't come into the pit lane, and he certainly didn't look like he slowed down at all. So that is Leclerc going to win this Miami Grand Prix unless he has some sort of technical failure. Meanwhile, here we are battling Daniel Ricciardo as he tries to come back through on us here through turn 1. We hold it around the outside and hold position for now, and we've obviously gained a free position for Verstappen coming into the pit lane, but Verstappen will be on soft, so it'll be interesting to see where he's able to go. He's in P12 at the moment, but that's not our main focus in the race here. We just got to try and keep ahead of this very speedy McLaren and AlphaTauri as Yuki has closed in on us as well as we head down the back straight here on lap 26. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo. We don't have any DRS. We've got no ERS left either, so we're a bit of a sitting duck. Ricciardo to the inside. He has a massive lockup and parks it in the middle of the track. I give him a little tab. Luckily, no damage on the front wing. That allows Yuki to come up alongside us, but we sweep around the outside of the left-hander there and get back ahead before the final corner and get a little bit of DRS off of Ricciardo as well to help defend into turn 1, but we're just going to have to sit behind and wait to potentially make a move in the last couple of remaining laps of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, this is for the front of the race now. Perez going side by side with Sainz, and Sainz gets through there as Perez makes a bit of a mistake down into the hairpin there, and he'll be absolutely kicking himself over that. Meanwhile, further down the pack, here's Verstappen trying to get back into the points here and salvage some points. He's got the two Alfa Romeos up ahead, and he goes around the outside of the both of them there. Very Max Verstappen move. He is not waiting. He's not going to get them one at a time. He just cleans up the both of them, gets himself into P10, and he's now going to try and chase down the cars ahead. But the next cars ahead are ourselves in this battle with Ricciardo and Tsunoda. 6 seconds and only 2 laps to do it. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, but you can see here, end of lap 28, there's only 1 lap to go after these last couple of corners. Ricciardo goes defensive into the hairpin, so we're going to try and sweep around the outside there of the McLaren. So we're not going to get any better than P7 by the looks of it, but Ricciardo is not going to make it an easy P8. We get ahead through the final corner. We get the DRS as well, but Ricciardo, with a bit of ERS, is able to try and come back at us. He dives to the inside of turn 1, but we go around the outside quite easily, get into P7, but now we're going to be a bit of a sitting duck because we won't have any DRS. I got no energy to use to defend either, but really I can't afford to let Ricciardo through. There's nowhere really good to do it, and even if I did, that would put me at threat of losing out to Tsunoda, and Tsunoda just cleaning up the both of us. So we're just going to have to try and see what we can do now down this back straight. Can we defend from these fast-charging cars behind us? Verstappen only 2.5 seconds behind us now as well, so he's closing at an absolute rate of knots at the moment as we head down the straight. DRS zone now. These guys are coming at us super quick. Look at this Tsunoda as well, looking to make a move. Can he maybe go for a double move? He's going to pass Ricciardo. He lunges it on us as well. We're going to go side by side with the AlphaTauri. You can see running very wide there as I just got thrown off by Tsunoda throwing it down the inside. He's going to try and do to us what he did to Schumacher here, and it looks like he's going to do it. We're going to go through the chicane side by side. Yuki holding position next to us there, and he gets the move done just like he did on the Haas. Except we've kept it a little bit more side by side. And once again, Yuki won't have the DRS. But look at this, Verstappen is right behind us. He's in this battle now. So we've now got 4 cars barreling down towards the final braking zone here, all over the top of each other. They're going to be 3 wide. I back out of it there because I didn't want to risk DNFing at the last bit of this race. Tsunoda locks up, hits Ricciardo and Verstappen. We're 4 wide momentarily there. Right at the end of this Grand Prix, we get ourselves side by side with Ricciardo, but Ricciardo just pulls ahead. We hold off Verstappen and Tsunoda, and it's going to be a P8 for us here in a crazy finish to the Miami Grand Prix there. That got very close, a bit of argy-bargy through that final hairpin, and 4 wide as well. I would not have expected around the Miami circuit here. What a race.
And then a phenomenal Miami Grand Prix, and what a great show of skill from our race winners today. What do you think it was today, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So here we are with the results for the Miami Grand Prix. Leclerc takes the win ahead of Perez, who did end up ahead of Carlos Sainz there in second, and Sainz in third. Hamilton gets fourth. Ocon ends up in P5 in the Alpine there, ahead of the 2 McLarens of Norris and Ricciardo. Ourselves in 8th. Verstappen 9th, losing out on a bunch of points there towards the end of the race, and Tsunoda rounds out the points. So it's Perez that leads the way by 3 points over Carlos Sainz now, and for ourselves we drop down to P10, equal points with Daniel Ricciardo, our fellow Aussie, just 1 point ahead of Pierre Gasly and 3 points off of Esteban Ocon, so very close there for the midfield fight in the driver's standings. Williams still sitting 7th, Alpine have overtaken AlphaTauri as well, so yeah, it's looking like P7 sort of going to be our area unless Alfa Romeo and Haas start to score some big points, which I feel like they could, they just haven't quite had the luck that we have been able to. But for now, P7, good for us. We're going to keep bringing upgrades, keep pushing forwards, and hopefully move ourselves further up the drivers and the constructors and prove to Mercedes that we are worth that Mercedes factory drive. Obviously, that is the current goal in this career mode as a Mercedes young driver. But next, we have the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.